Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Insights of Leone. Before we go into today's show, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to show you a quick video that was sent to me in reference to a young man that stole something, and the whole community came out to do them some harm. They intended to burn them. They were beating them with sticks, boards, and this young lady got involved and said, "Why are you doing this to this man for stealing peanuts?" He stole these peanuts because he did not have a job. He did not have a job to be able to afford these peanuts. And however, you are here beating them, ready to burn them because of this little pack of peanuts. When in actuality, if you want to see the real thieves that are stealing millions, billions of leones from you people, you should go to the government and to the parliament. And being that we're talking about the white paper, I just wanted to put a little bit of humor into this. So once that is ready, we can go into it. Because today we have different topics to talk about in reference to former President Ernest Bai Koroma. We have the topic to talk about the mining company in Kedu that is owned by a billionaire in Israel. We also want to talk about a lot of these young girls that were pregnant and they were told they cannot go to school due to the fact that they are pregnant. I just want to touch upon it. This is the Insights of Leone, and I just want you to have a broad spread of what's going on in Leone. So when the video is ready, ladies and gentlemen, we will go into it. Well, while we're prepping that video, let's just talk, because we also have videos to show the dramatic scene outside of our former president's Ernest Bai Koroma's home in McKinney, where thousands of his supporters formed a human barricade to prevent the anti-corruption investigators from meeting with our former president. And, also the police came. It was a big thing, but the police made a U-turn to prevent any kind of, fatalities or injuries. President Koroma's actions has been widely condemned. Initially, the former president was due to arrive at the office of the ACC, the Anti-Corruption Commission's office, on Monday, the 5th of October, Monday that just passed. However, due to certain situations, the date was moved to Thursday, the 8th of October. And the meeting was then set to be held at his home in McKinney. Upon arrival of the ACC investigators, there were thousands of protesters all over the streets in McKinney, which indeed will also show you the video of all these protesters on the streets. Although his advisors, the former president's advisors, deny any involvement by the former president in organizing this demonstration outside of his home, critics say that he must have been fully aware of what was going on. And yet, he did not do anything to disperse the crowd to allow the corruption investigation to carry out their work. because the whole aspect was for him to go to the office and have this meeting, answer some questions. But again, there was a situation that arose, which indeed he did not go. Now, one of the country's most respected civil society groups, Campaign for Good Governance, condemned what it described as the McCain standoff between the Anti-Corruption Commission and the former president, Ernest Koroma. But ladies and gentlemen, let me just, before we go into any further, I just wanted to show you the clip that I said I was going to show you at the beginning of the show. Shall we?
What is wrong with you? So you never seen before?
You never stole before?
Tell me. Go to the government.
You want to see thieves? Go to the president. Go to the government.
The real thieves are. They steal your collective wealth in billions. But when they come close to you, you cheer them on. You lick their buttocks and encourage them to steal more. But here is a boy, not more than 20.
Well,
what is wrong with you? So you never seen before? Do you want to know the real thieves?
Tell me.
Go to the government. Go to the parliament. That is where the real thieves are. They steal your collective wealth in billions. But when they come close to you, you cheer them on. You lick their buttocks and encourage them to steal more. But here is a boy, not more than 20.
Well, let me explain to you again, as I'd done in the beginning. The young man apparently stole some peanuts, and the crowd, the community came out beating him and were ready to set him on fire. And this young lady came and said, "Why are you beating this young man, for stealing peanuts when the government is stealing billions of your hard-earned money? And if you want to see the real thieves," and the gentleman said, "Tell me, who are they?" And she responded, "Go to the government and go to the parliament. There you will see the real thieves." So just to narrate it, due to the corruption that is going on, that was why we wanted to show you that clip. But to continue, just to recap as to what I said prior, before the video came on, the anti-corruption investigators went to McCain to go and meet with the former president, Dr. Ernest Koroma. Upon their arrival, there were protesters all over the streets, and they were refusing for the anti-corruption investigators to, continue with their investigation. They were not allowed, and it was condemned, these actions, because they said that he was aware, even though he denied of this occurrence, but they said that he could have stopped it. But just to continue on as to what the CCG had to say, I will quote them, ladies and gentlemen. So, "We would also like to express our disappointment at all those whose interactions allowed the standoff to happen. We condemn the actions of the citizens who took it to the streets of McCain to prevent the constitutional mandated institution from carrying out their duties. As advocate for accountability and the rule of law, CGG strongly believes that every citizen should be held account for their own action and stewardship when in public office." Now, we know and are very wary of the growing political tension in certain parts of the country, and we expect citizens to be more responsible in helping to maintaining the peace and stability that others sacrifice their life for us to enjoy. We also expect citizens to act orderly with the law at all times and to support constituted authorities and public institutions to implement their mandates peacefully and without fear of harm. CGG is not oblivious of the fact that there is a serious collapse of public trust in governance processes generally across the country. We have monitored and documented numerous instances of disregard of due process and the rule of law by those who ought to effectively, employ them and also implement the same. However, we do not believe that should serve as an excuse for citizens to disrupt an ongoing accountability process. We therefore call for calm and respect for the investigation process to continue. CGG would also like to call on the anti-corruption to continue dialoguing with the former president and his lawyers to find a peaceful, less publicized interaction to ensure that the investigations process proceed without hindrance. We salute the steps taken by the ACC to de-escalate the situation and to explore alternatives. We also encourage the ACC to continue with diplomatic approach. To the former president, Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma, we welcome the commitment expressed to abide by and cooperate with the investigation process. We believe that this is an opportunity to show beyond wordiness that there is indeed a genuine desire to account your stewardship. We implore you publicly denounce violence and call for calm among your supporters while the investigation is ongoing. We would like to emphasize that it is not only what we do, but also what we fail to do, for which we are accountable. EGG would like to commend the display of professionalism and restraint shown by the personnel and officers of the police of Sierra Leone, the Sierra Leone police. The professional performance by the police is a testament to the fact that law enforcement agencies in Sierra Leone have no excuse to exceed the bounds of their mandate. The cooperative to follow due process and international best practices is not an option. It should be a must under all circumstances. We therefore applaud the SLP meaning Sierra Leone Police, for demonstrating that it is indeed possible to police public gathering and demonstrations without resorting to the use of excessive force. That results in injuries and fatalities. Let's look at these videos in McKinney on the 5th to the 8th of October. The young people, older people, bikers, ladies, as they refused for the police to enter the former president's home, and how the police complied and turned around without getting into an altercation with the protesters. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is an accusation, alleged. Nothing has been proven. All we want to do is get the facts. Sierra Leoneans all over the world deserve to know the truth. That is why, that is why an investigation is put into play. And I've stated earlier, whether you're a president, whether you're a pauper, poor, we're all human beings. We all have the right to be questioned. You being on the street protesting is bringing harm to yourself. Now, let's just say hypothetically, the police officers had decided that they were going to go into their home. What was going to happen? You were putting yourself in harm's way. And I had indicated on the last show on Sunday that anything that happens to the former president while he's under ACC or SLPP in their offices, the world will know. The world is watching. If you put yourself in harm's way and you get injured, this is due to your own fault. Now, not to say anyone is right or anyone is wrong, but let's put into consideration. When these government officials are in the office, you are suffering. Do they come to your home and bring you something? If you're to get injured, are they going to come and pay your medical bills? We need to be realistic, ladies and gentlemen. Now, also, in front of former President Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma home, they had marshals making sure that no one entered the premises without a reason or if they don't know you. On the video that we're about to show you, you will see people beating drums up and down the street, singing and dancing, blocking the whole street. Shall we show the video, please? Oh, thank you for sharing that video. That's just one of the videos that, unfortunately we are going to show at this time. We have the other videos where the youths, the elderlies, the ladies, were all in front of the former president's home, building the shield, the human shield, to prevent the police and also the ACC investigators from entering. We also have another video where the police came in 2 trucks. They intended to go through, but due to the fact that there was a barricade on the streets, they made a U-turn and returned to prevent any injuries or fatalities. I applaud the police officers that made the judgment not to intercede into an altercation with these people. Now, sometimes we as people tend to react because we love someone or because we want to protect this person. This is not how you protect someone. This is not how you show your support. There's so many other ways we can show support, but definitely this is not the way. Now, as we're moving on, what does the National Civil Registration Authority have to do with the voting? Now, there's so much going on with, with this NCRA organization. It puzzles me. But as we go into it, as we can, go into it, ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you why the NCRA has been into the news so much lately. To our knowledge, the NCRA is responsible for continuous, permanent, and compulsory recording of accuracies and characteristics of vital events, including death, birth, marriage, divorce, nullities, adoptions, and so forth, certificate. Meaning, when you're given birth, I'm sure many of you are aware, but let me just explain this to the best of my ability. When you are given birth, you go there for your birth certificate or your parents. When someone dies, when you get married, and so forth. So the question at hand is, what do they have to do in reference to the voting? The authority, under the leadership of its director, Mohammed Marsari, I do apologize if I say your name wrong, seemed to have the cooperation of various political parties until recently, when the authority was accused by them overreaching its mandates. Is the NCRA a crime? Well, apparently, they used the 9-letter word, which was election, in a statement from the DG. There have been press conferences accompanied by press releases from the APC and the NGC stating that the NCRA has no business with voter registration, and that the NEC will utilize this information provided as one of the useful tools in arsenal to facilitate election registrations. So many of you know what that means. Many of you are aware of the corruptions that we're speaking of. So for all of this to arise, I'm sure many of you understand. Opposition parties seem to insinuate the possibility existed for NCRA to ultimately manipulate the data provided by the NEC for extraction of voter registration information. The acting NEC chairman, Edmund Alpha, denied these allegations, confirming that the unusual checks and balances would be in place for voter registration and verification of information. Now, as we are all aware, election is due to be coming up. The worries of the NGC and all NGC and APC and other parties is the fact that they're worried, again, the ballots will somehow be tampered with. So I'm sure their concern is that the NCRA should not be giving this information out, and which indeed I somewhat, I agree. I agree, because if your job is to do a certain job, that is your requirement. So let's stick to the mandates. Let's stick to what we're supposed to do. and our country will be at or in a better place. Now, ladies and gentlemen, with that said, we're just touching up on some of the things that we feel as though needs to be brought to your attention. Again, this is our home. If something is wrong in the government, we have the right to judge upon it. We have the right to say, well, why is this happening? This should not be happening. And we find a way to move forward. It's not a matter of saying, well, because we're in position, that is why, oh, they're saying this. That is all irrelevant. What needs to be done needs to be done. Now, let's just focus on what we think needs to improve in Leone. We are going to take a look at the firefighters that went to go and fight a fire. Now, normally, I don't intercede, I don't get involved in such things. But however, we need to train. This is directly to the government. Training has to be done properly to support these people, these civilians, these brave heroes of ours that put their lives on the line to save people. Now, this firefighter, this fire truck, this fire brigade went to stop a fire, which indeed they were unable to due to the training, due to not having enough water to stop the fire. So the entire building burned down. Shall we have a look at the video, please? Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we prep for the video, I just want to also talk about the accident that happened where about almost 20 people died, and when they also called the emergency hotline, no one picked up. No one picked up. The essence of this being in place is just to save the lives of people. And if I'm calling you because I'm in need of service and I'm not able to get someone to come to my aid, then what is the essence of this number? We need to do a lot of training so that way we're able to support the people that need our service. Now, as we go into the video with the firefighters, ladies and gentlemen, you will see what I'm trying to convey on to you. This video is somewhat shot at a different angle. So let's see what we can do with this just to have an idea.
The entire plan of bond. The entire plan of bond.
The plan of bond. I'm on the other side. The plan of bond. The plan of bond. Yes, come on.
Would I increase the pressure? Would I increase the pressure? This time they woke up our force. Over 1 hour past for the jack people in the they sack me up a room from today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The plan number no. Now they this one. SRP, the whole of SRP.
The whole SRP not born.
The whole SRP. And this number our sponsor already. Or even the water tank. No problem.
La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah.
As you know, they will get power for go. Once if you get host,
Hello?
they don't go like that. You don't get power.
Yeah. Dakay. From today, for apostle, they don't fuck all Dakay. They don't do fuck.
We had to stop it due to the angle. We don't want to create uncomfortability for you, ladies and gentlemen. But the whole aspect of us sharing that video, as you can see, is that the firefighters did not know what to do. They were a bit confused. And also, as you can see, the fire hose, the water was not able to reach the fire. There was not enough pressure to reach the whole building. So as you can see, the entire building burned down, which is such a tragic. So we need to do some proper training with these people that we depend on to save our lives. Because if they're coming out to save us, they're also putting their lives on the line. But without the proper training, how can they save lives? Just as when the accident occurred, so many people died. And this is within a week. And they called the hotline and there was no one to pick up. And we have also that video where this young lady was screaming, saying, I'm calling, no one is picking up. If anyone else have another number, please call it. How many incidences are going on at one time? Or how many people do we have trained to pick these calls as they're coming in? How big is a call center? So these are things that I think we need to work on as Leoneans to develop this country. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, the government has been ordered to leave the policy that banned pregnant girls from going back to school, as the court ruled that it was unlawful to prevent these girls from attending school while they're pregnant or during their pregnancy. The United Nations Population Fund conducted a study on 18,119 girls and found that 42% of these girls between the ages of 15 to 17 years old became pregnant during the Ebola outbreak. This information was given by the Independent newspaper. Now, I am glad that this has been lifted. I am definitely glad that this ban has been lifted because everyone is entitled to education. We should not limit someone due to their condition, depending on the severity of that condition. So we need to educate our sisters. So if you're pregnant, you want to go to school, as long as you're able to go to school, that should be fine. Whoever put this ban in the first place was not being humane. We have to understand that education empowers our sisters. We need to find a solution to support them even when they're at home. These are all things that needs to be put in place. Not to criticize or put anyone down, but we have to uplift our sisters. We have to try to get them into the workforce. We have to try to find free education where everyone can be entitled to it and be able to go to school and be able to create a form of income to provide for self, family, and others. But if we're limiting people how is our country going to develop? And there was a statement that was made of our youths being called thugs. And also, at the beginning of the show, I showed a video of this young man that stole a little bag of peanuts that the whole community wanted to do serious harm to. And the young lady came out and said, he stole because he do not have a job. If we can create employment, this would not be happening. Now, lastly, but not least, the mining company, Opti, is accused of owing Leone $400,000 due to the fact that their property taxes has not been paid. This company is owned by an Israeli billionaire named Benny Steinmetz. According to our sources, Opti has a 25 years lease to mine in Kundu. A 25-year lease. Why would the government give someone a 25-year lease to do mining in their country? These are things that I don't understand. We just spoke about the pregnant girls that were banned from going to school, which indeed I'm happy that the ban has been lifted. So now, pregnant or not pregnant, they're entitled to go to school. And as I was saying, why would we do that? Well, we know our fellow countrymen, countrywomen, are in need of funding. And we are given a 25-year lease to a billionaire that is not helping our country and that is in arrears of making his payment. Now, one of the biggest jewelry company in North America named Tiffany's. Now, I'm sure each and every one of us has seen many of their commercials. I'm sure some of us go to Tiffany's to buy jewelry. Now, Tiffany's is an investor into this company. Tiffany's, one of the biggest jewelry company in America, is investing into this company that is mining in Sierra Leone. I've never came across an article where Tiffany said they are willing to donate a certain amount of money to Sierra Leone. I've never came across an article stating that Tiffany is willing to do anything for Sierra Leone. And our leaders have decided to give Opti a 25-year contract, lease rather. That definitely puzzles me. Why our government would take such an agreement? Why would they offer such a thing? Knowing that people will come in to only get or take what they can and go back to their countries. People will abuse when they see the opportunity. And if we have corrupted leaders that are willing to take on board tips, because I don't want to call it a bribe, a tip for their pockets without declaring that tip is a form of bribery. That's corruption. So my question is, why is this happening? Why are we not doing our own minding? Why? By we doing our own minding, we're able to give jobs. With all that money, think about a diamond, how much that diamond can be sold. Let's just say a 15 carat. Let's think about it. Or let's say gold, which indeed we have all these things. But instead, we allow other people from different countries to come into Sierra Leone to take advantage of our natural resources. I am clearly at a dismay because I don't understand certain things. Now, a lot of officials are willing to talk to you, but when you say, let's come and be on the show, they say, oh no, I cannot do that. But you're willing to talk behind the scenes. That puzzles me, ladies and gentlemen, because we can develop our country so much faster of what we have. We have so much to offer. We can do imports and export. And I always say this on the show. I've made this indication on numerous occasions. If we don't start taking action now as a nation, when are we going to start? Why are we procrastinating? Why can't we think about the people that you were there to serve? You were put in that office for a reason. If you don't think you can be loyal to your people, to your country, we ask you kindly to please resign and give the position to someone that is able to perform those duties. There are many able bodies in Sierra Leone, educated, qualified to do your job. So I don't understand why we are borrowing money from other countries. I don't understand why we need to borrow money from World Bank. And when these monies are given to us, specifically the continent of Africa, our interest rate is put so high that we will be in their debt for years and years and years to come. We need to look at different perspectives. We need to view these things. We need to look at our options. There's so many options, ladies and gentlemen. There's so many options. But if we're not willing to educate ourselves, because I know the leaders are quite educated. They are quite educated. But why are they not utilizing the brain to say, you know what, if we do this, we can gain this. If we do this, we can get this in return. And by us getting this in return, we can do so much for our country, for our countrymen, for our children. Now, the U.S. Embassy in Sierra Leone published a security alert advising its staff and all American citizens in Sierra Leone to avoid the Central District of Freetown and McKinney. Why? Because of what they assumed was going to happen. They seen and they knew that the people were going to protest. They were going to protest for someone that is protected by the UN. Because as we are all aware, if anything happens to a political leader or former political leader, the UN will intercede. There's the World Court. Ladies and gentlemen, children of Sierra Leone, I plead with you, let the ACC investigators do what is mandated of them to do. Let them do their job. No one is saying anyone is guilty as of yet. These are allegations. These are allegations that are being investigated. Yes, their name appeared on the white paper. That is a fact. But have they been proven guilty? Now, we are also aware of the fact that APC has been in power for many years. But we are looking for changes. We are looking for development. Is it APC that has only committed corruption? Absolutely, positively, utterly not. So, all I can say to you, ladies and gentlemen, let us don't jump in the fire without having a proper cause or reason. Let us let the government officials do their jobs. Now, a lot of times I come here and a lot of people think I'm having a go at APC or SLPP. And as I've indicated numerous times, this platform, we're not here to support any political parties. We are here for the betterment of our country. And I've said this over and over and over again. And I will continue to say this. And I've also said, if there's something that I have said on this platform, I welcome you to come aboard and we can sit down and talk about this. We are here to support the country. We're here hoping for change. We have elected the leaders due to the trust that we put into these leaders, hoping that they're here to make a difference, make a change, help our country develop. Not for them to make themselves develop in riches, but for them to make our countrymen have a better way of life. Day in and day out, I always state that I will welcome anyone onto this platform to have a chat, depending on what it is that you have to offer, what you have to convey. Sierra Leone, we need support. We need to build the roads. We need to build on the water system. If you go to Sierra Leone, you go to some people's homes, the toilet we need to develop. If you go to the marketplace, it's not hygienic. It's not hygienic. So we need to find solutions. We need to find a proper way of doing imports and export. By us doing this and developing our country, that will make our money, the Leone, heavier, stronger. That will make people want to come to our country. Tourism will grow. And where there is tourism, tourists coming into the country, that bring finances onto the country. There are so many ways that we can bring an income into the country where we can satisfy everyone and give everyone that self-confidence to develop, instead of our sisters selling themselves to foreigners. Instead of our sisters to sell themselves on the internet. I have a lady that sent me an email, and which indeed I'll be more than happy to show this next time, offering me a child, a baby. And she also went to the extent of saying, if I want her to have my baby, she will get pregnated and have a child for me, and she'll send the baby to me. She don't know me. All this is due to hunger. All of this is due to what is going on. Everyone is trying to survive, but now coming to a point where you're willing to sell your child to someone in another country. You don't know how they're going to treat your child. That is quite saddening. Or how do we know that is your child? How do we know that's not child trafficking? Stealing someone else's child for your benefit. There are a lot of things that need to be put in place, ladies and gentlemen. But as the show comes to an end, as usual, I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. You know, I hope that we're able to work together and make a difference in our country. My name is Unisa Camara. I bid you all a peaceful night and a blissful journey. Let's do something together to make a difference to develop our country. Good night.